I've had to sort of be a bit more creative and challenge myself a bit more, and that was the reason why I moved over here in the first place, really. Currently we are in St Albans, which is in Hertfordshire. It's about an hour or so from London. Really nice area, very quiet, sort of a little bit more country. And the main reason why we're here is because it's much closer to my school than London is. And it's actually quite nice not being in the dead centre of the city. It's quite nice being a bit further out as well. My first impressions touching down, it was a good feeling. It was a nice feeling. I've been here before, so I kind of knew what to expect. It was nice kind of seeing all of the taxis and old school buses and those sorts of things as you arrive as well. So it is, you do feel a bit touristy at first with your suitcases and whatnot coming off the plane. But it's a really lovely sight to see when you do get off the plane. It's exciting. So my school is quite different to what I'm used to back home. It's a nice school, and the people here have been really, really friendly, but there's lots of differences in terms of, I guess, the way that they do things here. So back home, I'm very used to technology. It's a big, big thing. In certain schools, in Queensland in particular, in the metropolitan areas. Here it's quite different. I do feel like the school that I'm at is more like what it was like when I was at high school nearly 15 years ago, where everything was on paper. Schools here are going to be different. Like, not every school in England is like the school that I'm at. And it's the same as back home. Like, not every school is the same as back home. But for me, that's been a massive change and something that I'm kind of getting used to, but will probably need a bit more time to adjust to that. So the classrooms here are quite similar to back home in terms of the way that they're set up. Nothing like that I think is terribly different. The resources or access to resources is quite different to what I'm used to. I was at an independent school in Queensland, and so they had quite a large variety of resources, particularly in the drama department, and here they don't. So things like costumes and props and those sorts of things, we don't have access to those in the drama department here. But having said that, your teaching is always going to be, but comedy is important to find ways to deal with those sorts of things. So even though there isn't the same access to resources, I've still been able to, I think, achieve quite a lot with my classes. Is good and bad with that. There are days where it's been super stressful because I've sort of had to change what I'm used to, had to come up with new lessons because the way that I would normally do it can't be done at this particular school. But then it's also been good because I've had to sort of be a bit more creative and challenge myself a bit more, and that was the reason why I moved over here in the first place, really. So my classes are very similar to back home, in the sense that the students, I feel, are quite similar. You've got your cheeky ones and you've got your very academic ones, and the kids that kind of fall in between. It's all very, very similar over here. There are some definite differences though in terms of my school is very, very strict, and they have very strict and high expectations for the way they deal with things, which is probably a little bit different to the way that the school that I'd been at for the last 5 years in Queensland was operated. So that's been a bit of an adjustment for me as well, but not necessarily a bad thing, just something different. Planning wise, here at the school that I'm currently at is also very different. There's a theme. I have 12 classes, 12 different classes. Back home I think the most I ever had was like 7 or 8. And here, people have 15, 16 classes, so it's quite crazy. In terms of how you manage those classes, sometimes it's because they're split or they're shared with another teacher, which is also really different to what I'm used to. So I'm used to having a class as my own class, whereas here, you're sharing it with another teacher. So there is a lot more collaboration, which in a way has kind of been all right, because obviously being new to the system here in the UK, it's been good having to have another teacher to talk to about how things are done. But again, it's very different and it's a big adjustment. And it's definitely been hard, but I feel like you just have to get used to it and you have to push through it is the main thing. So we've only been here for a little bit less than a month, so we haven't really experienced a lot of travel yet. But already we've sort of been around our local town, that area, and it's quite beautiful here. The landscape really is stunning, and there's so many beautiful old buildings and churches and just parklands and things that are really, really gorgeous that we just don't get back home. You know, and cute little animals like squirrels and badgers, like we've already seen all those sorts of things, and they're so adorable. So it is really lovely just to kind of get out and see the local town. But yeah, traveling, haven't really had time to do that yet, but hopefully very soon that will be an option. I think for people who are not sure if they do or don't want to come to the UK, what I would say is that I think just come and experience it for yourself. And, you know, if you're not going to like it, if you are going to like it, that's your journey to go through. But at least you can give it a go.